Dear students, welcome back to MNR's digital classes. In this session, we are going to discuss about acoustics. This is the first part of this acoustics topic. In this lecture, we are going to understand the concept of reverberation of sound. The content of this lecture is collected from two books. The first one is Engineering Physics by G. Arul Das, published by Printers All of India, and the second book referred is Waves and Oscillation by Bridlal and Subramaniam, published by Vikas Publications. Acoustics. Acoustics is the branch of physics that deals with the process of generation, reception, and propagation of sound. This branch, in fact, covers many fields and is closely related to various branches of engineering. Some of the important fields of acoustic are: the first one, architectural acoustics. This branch of acoustics deals with the behavior of sound waves in a closed enclosure. That is, it deals with the design and construction of buildings, operas, music halls, recording rooms in a radio and television broadcasting stations. The second branch of acoustics is electroacoustics. This branch is related with different methods of sound production and recording. That is, the design of microphones, amplifiers, and loudspeakers. The third branch deals with music, that is called as musical acoustics, and it deals with the design of musical instruments. Reverberation is a basic acoustic property of all architectural structures. One of the important concepts in acoustics is reverberation. When a sharp sound is produced in open air, we know that the listener receives it as such and the sound immediately dies out within no time. But if the same sound is produced in a hall or an auditorium, or in general any closed enclosure, the sound waves are spread out, scattered in all directions, and strikes the various surfaces and the materials on those surfaces, such as ceilings, walls, and floors, etc. A part of this sound energy incident on those surfaces gets absorbed, and most of it is reflected. A listener in a hall receives two types of waves: the waves directly received from the source, direct waves, and the waves which undergo multiple reflections at the various surfaces, that is, the reflected waves. Observe the figure. We have the direct sound waves received from the source and the waves which are reflected from the different surfaces of the hall, that is, such as ceilings, walls, and floors. As a result of this, the combined effect of these direct and reflected waves determines the quality of a note as perceived by the listener. As a result, the sound persists for some time, even after the source stops producing the sound. Now observe this plant. The observer receives the original sound, that is the direct sound from the source, the first one, and the reflections of the sound from various surfaces as are shown in the graph. Now observe here, in the beginning we get distinct sounds, distinct reflections, and then these reflections are overlapping each other. This overlapping will lead to perception of sound even after the source stops producing it. This phenomenon is called as reverberation. The rise and fall of sound is as shown in this figure. Along the x-axis time and y-axis we have taken the sound level. When the source starts producing the sound, initially the initial sound at the source starts growing up, reaches the maximum, that is the steady state, and it gets sustained with its maximum value. When the source stops producing the sound, that is the source of sound ceases, the sound will not immediately jumps to zero value, but it gradually decays approximately in exponential fashion. Thus, we can say that reverberation is the combined effect of multiple random blended repetitions of sound from the walls, flooring, ceiling, etc. of a room or a concert hall, leading to gradual fading of its loudness as heard by the listener. The overall effect is to prolongation of the sound intensity even after the production, and this prolongation is called as reverberation. Now let us define the reverberation in precise words. This is the phenomenon of persistence of sound even after the source stops producing the sound. If the multiple reflections are not in quick succession, they are heard separately. This is called as multiple echo and not reverberation. If multiple reflections are in quick succession, that is, if they are heard in a time lapse of 1 second, less than 1 second, it is heard as a continuous prolongation. This is called as reverberation. Now let us make clear with two concepts, multiple echoes and reverberation. They are different. Echoes, first, echoes are caused by the limitations of our hearing mechanism in processing the sound. An echo is heard due to reflection of sound from a distant sound reflecting object. If the time interval between the direct and reflected sound is more than 1/15th of a second, that is 60 milliseconds, then we hear two distinct sounds, which is called as echo. If these echoes are repeats, then it is called as multiple echo. Now, this figure clearly indicates this is the initial sound which is produced at the source. Then the direct sound received by the listener at the receiver end, having the time interval T2. Then observe these figures. We have T3, T4. These are representing the echoes. So if the time gap between the direct sound and the reflected sound is more than 60 milliseconds, then they are heard as two separate sounds and it is called as echo. If you observe this echoes multiple times, then it is called as multiple echo. This figure clearly distinguishes between the echoes and reverberation. Now observe here, each sound is heard separately with definite time gap. This is called as echo. Here we have the original sound, hello, and its reflections from the distinct reflecting surface are goes on decreasing with their intensity, but they are heard separately. Whereas if the time lag is less than 1 second between the successive reflections, then the sound gets prolonged without any distinction. This mechanism is called as reverberation. The famous Whispering Gallery at Gol Gumbaz in Bijapur has remarkable acoustics, and it is known for its multiple echoes. A sound is heard 7 times due to multiple reflections inside the gumbaz. This is the Whispering Gallery of Gol Gumbaz, where we hear the sound which undergoes multiple reflections. Let us listen to the multiple reflections heard inside the gumbaz. It was Sir C.V. Raman in 1922 for the first time gave a scientific explanation in his famous paper on the whispering galleries. He gave a theory to show that the multiple sounds heard are not echoes. These are due to sound waves traveling circumferentially around the gallery several times before it dies out. A whisper is heard every time the sound passes the listener. The article published by C.V. Raman is published in the Bulletin of Indian Association on Cultivation of Sciences, and the link is given here. The original article published by C.V. Raman can be obtained by clicking this link. In order to make the explanation of the whispering galleries, Raman not only considered the Gol Gumbaz in Bijapur, in addition to this, he considered several other acoustical curiosities in India. Let us have a look at these acoustical curiosities. The first one is the Victoria Memorial Hall at Calcutta. The second one is Government Granary, that is called as Golgar in Hindi, at Patna, Bankipur, Patna. Whispering Gallery at the Kolkata General Post Office. The next one is Sikindar's tomb at Fatehpur Sikri near Agra. These are the 5 buildings, acoustical curiosities considered by C.V. Raman to explain the whispering of sound. And on the basis of his observations, he published the paper on the whispering galleries in 1922. Reverberation time. The reverberant sound in an auditorium dies away with the time as the sound energy is absorbed by multiple interactions with the surfaces of the room. It is measured from the time that the original sound pulse is produced, or in case of a continuous note, from the time the source stopped sounding to the time at which the sound becomes inaudible. So what we can say about the reverberation time is it is a time interval during which the sound intensity falls from its original intensity to inaudible range. Audible to inaudible range. So the time duration for which the sound persists even after the source stops emitting the sound is called as reverberation time. In order to provide a reproducible parameter to characterize an auditorium which is independent of the intensity of incident sound, it is necessary to define a standard reverberation time in terms of the drop in intensity from the original level. That is, to define it in terms of relative intensity. We know that the audibility and inaudibility. The term audibility is a physiological parameter and it depends on the sensitivity of the listener's ear. Therefore, it is necessary to define a standard reverberation time in terms of relative intensity. A standard reverberation time has been defined as the time for the sound to die out to a level of 60 decibels below its original level. So, the standard reverberation time corresponds to the time interval during which its intensity level or loudness level falls to 60 decibels below its original value. The graphical representation of reverberation time is shown here. The original intensity of the sound wave, that is intensity level, as the source stops producing the sound, its intensity level or loudness level falls down. The time interval during which its loudness level falls by 60 decibel gives the measure of RT60, that is reverberation time. Thus, the term inaudibility can be defined more scientifically as a drop in intensity level of 60 decibel or a fall of intensity to 10 to the power of minus 6 times its initial value. In terms of loudness level, it corresponds to 60 decibel. In terms of intensity, it corresponds to 10 to the power of minus 6 times its original value. So, reverberation time can also be defined as the time taken by the sound during which its intensity falls to 10 to the power of minus 6 times its initial value. The question arises, why only this 60 decibel? Let us understand the rationale for 60 decibel reverberation time. Professor W.C. Sabine, the Harvard pioneer in acoustics, introduced the concept of RT60, that is reverberation time 60. The choice of the relative intensity to use is of course arbitrary, but there is a good rationale for using 60 decibel. We know that the loudest crescendo for most orchestral music is about 100 decibel, and a typical room background level for a good music making area is about 40 decibel. The loudest sound of an orchestra, it comes out to be 100 decibel. The lowest sound, that is the background sound of the room, is about 40 decibel. So when the intensity level falls below 60 decibel, then the sound is considered to be almost died out. So the standard reverberation time is seen to be about the time for the loudest crescendo of the orchestra to die away to a level of room background, that is 60 decibel range, that is about the range of dynamic levels of the orchestral music. This is taken as the standard reference in defining the reverberation time. So the acousticians call this reverberation time as RT60. Reverberation time 60. It corresponds to a time interval during which the sound level or the loudness level falls 60 decibel, falls optimum reverberation time. In every hall, reverberation time is the key factor which decides the quality of acoustics present in that room. The important question is, what is a desirable reverberation time? Now let us discuss two important situations. First situation is a room with high reverberation time. In case if the room, that is our auditorium or any closed enclosure, having more reflective surfaces, that is absorption coefficient less than 0.4, or if the walls of the room are hard such that the repeated echoes which may begin to overlap and take longer time for the sound to die away. This will cause overlapping of the reflected sounds, leading to a mushy or confusion in the room, and such a room is said to be a live spot or anechoic spot. So higher reverberation time leads to overlapping of the multiple reflections, sound coming from the multiple reflections, leading to a confusion. And the room is said to be live spot or live room. Now, if the reverberation time is low, that is in case of very absorbent room, that is absorption coefficient greater than 0.4, the sound will die away quickly. As a result, the sound will be hardly audible and the room will be described as acoustically dead or reverberant anechoic spot. So if the reverberation time is very low, then that leads to dying away of the sound quickly. Hardly the sound is audible to the audience. Such a room is said to be dead room or dead spots. So for an acoustically good hall, the reverberation time, neither it should be very high nor it should be very low. For a general purpose, now observe the figure. As the reverberation time increases, overlapping of the notes and the loudness will lead to a confusion. If the reverberation time falls down, then that will lead to a dead effect. No sound will be heard to the listener properly. So, for a general purpose auditorium or a room which is used for both speech and music, the optimum value of reverberation time is about 1.5 to 2.5 seconds. And this value depends on not only on the reverberation time but also depends on the shape, size and interior of the hall. The amount of reverberation desired for an auditorium or the room, of course, depends on the activity going on. Its ideal value is around 2 seconds for a medium-sized general-purpose auditorium that is used for both speech as well as music. For listening speech, this is for live concerts. For listening speech or music played through loudspeakers, this amount of reverberation time, the reverberation time is around 1 second, is more comfortable. For critical listening to speakers, such as the audience in a classroom or a lecture hall, the RT60, that is reverberation time, should be much shorter, closer to half a second. For a recording studio, where there should not be any echoes or any reverberation, So the reverberation time should be very small, almost practically zero in most cases for the clarity of the recording. So the conclusion is the reverberation time depends on the purpose for which the room is used and the nature of the reflecting surfaces, shape of the hall and size of the hall. Now let us have a typical reverberation periods for different types of halls. For a big concert hall, it is around 2 seconds. For a medium concert hall, for small orchestra hall, 1.5 seconds. For dance performance, 1 second. For musical programming, 0.8 seconds. For a conference room, 0.5 seconds. For a studio, it is 0.4 seconds. For lecture halls and speech recording studios, the reverberation time is 0.3 seconds. Reverberation time, further, it also depends on the wavelength or frequency of the sound generated. Here, these are the typical values for a sound having the frequency about 500 Hz. Absorption coefficient. One of the important parameters which decides the acoustical properties of a hall is the absorption coefficient of the surface materials. The reverberation time is strongly influenced by the absorption coefficients of the surfaces. In acoustics, the term absorption refers to conversion of sound energy into heat. We know that every material has some absorptive qualities. The ability of the material to absorb the sound energy differently is described by a parameter called absorptivity or coefficient of absorption. This is a number lying between 0 and 1, with 0 being totally reflective, that is the perfect reflector, and 1 being totally absorptive, that is for a perfect observer, coefficient of absorption is equal to 1. For a perfect reflector, its value is 0. Absorption coefficient of an absorbing surface is the fraction of incident sound energy that is absorbed by it. So we can define coefficient of absorption of a material as the ratio of sound energy absorbed by its surface to that the total sound energy incident on it. It can be defined as the ratio of sound energy absorbed to total sound energy incident on its surface. This is the mathematical definition of absorption coefficient. In a hall, we have different surfaces made up of different materials. So we need to define the mean absorption coefficient. If S1, S2, S3 are the surface area of different surfaces having the materials with absorption coefficients alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha 3, etc., then the mean absorption coefficient is given by alpha bar is equal to sigma alpha I Si divided by sigma Si, that is equal to alpha 1 S1 plus alpha 2 S2 plus alpha 3 X3, etc., divided by S1 plus S2 plus S3. The denominator gives us the total surface area of the entire hall. So the product total surface area S, which is equal to the sum of S1, S2, S3, S3, so on, and the mean absorption coefficient alpha bar of all the surfaces of a hall is called as effective absorbing power of the hall and is measured in the units of Sabin. We have two terms here, mean absorption coefficient alpha bar and effective absorbing power of the hall, that is A. A is equal to alpha bar into S, where alpha bar is mean absorption coefficient of the entire hall and S is the total surface area of the hall. The unit of effective absorbing power is Sabin. If you want to use this unit, 7, the area should be expressed in square feet. So A is equal to alpha bar into S. This is equal to alpha 1 S1 plus and so on. So multiplying surface area in square feet by absorption coefficient results in absorption units. When the sound waves fall on an open window, they just pass through without any absorption, neglecting the effects of diffraction. So, an open window is considered to be a perfect absorber of sound, and absorption coefficient of all substances are measured in terms of open window units. The absorption coefficient of open window is taken as 1, and the absorption coefficient of all the other surfaces are expressed in terms of the absorption coefficient of open window. Now let us define the term absorption coefficient in terms of open window units. The absorption coefficient of a surface is defined as the reciprocal of its area, which absorbs the same sound energy as observed by unit area of the perfect observer, that is an open window. The reverberation time can be controlled precisely by adding or by the addition or reduction of the absorbing materials such as hard reflecting sections or soft absorbing sections. Hard reflective sections will decrease the absorption coefficient and hence reverberation time will increases. Similarly, by introducing soft absorptive sections, the reverberation time can be decreased. Hence, by changing the total absorption in the enclosure. This absorption is key factor which decides the reverberation time. The absorption coefficient of a given material depends on not only on the nature of the material, but also depends on the frequency of the sound which it absorbs, and also it depends on the angle at which the sound falls on its surface. Generally, its value is more for the sounds of higher frequencies. Higher frequency sounds are easily absorbed by a material than the lower frequency sounds. Here we have a table which represents the absorption coefficient of different materials and as a function of frequency. For example, if we take an acoustic tile, rigid mount, its absorption, as the frequency increases, absorption coefficient also increases. Thank you.